Hi, my name is Corb and welcome to Posca Club, where we learn how to draw some character-based artwork just using Posca pens. So today we're going to draw a character called Nifty from Hazbin Hotel. It's all step by step, so yeah, go and grab some Posca pens and see if you can draw along with me. So these are the colours that I'm going to use for my character today. So mainly these three colours are mainly for the eyes. So we're going to do red, orange and then the yellow ochre. I'm going to try and get some gradient going in the eyes. There's probably not going to be any blending or anything like that. Definitely isn't going to be any blending, but we're going to have some gradient in the eyes. So that's red, orange and yellow. Yellow ochre if you've got it. So yeah, that's what we're going to have in the eyes. But we're also going to use this red and this yellow in the hair as well. And then we're going to move on to this is light orange. We're going to use that as a skin tone. Now, potentially you could just leave it white for the skin tone. The original character's very pale, but we're going to use a bit of light orange to make it easier for us to draw. Finally, black and white pens. So the white, I'm probably going to use a little dot of white to bring the eye alive a little bit later. And then black pens, I'm using a PC3M and a PC1M in black. All the colours are PC5Ms. It's always, my general thing is always fat with the colours, and then grab a couple of thin black pens. Just means your colouring in is done a huge amount quicker. Okay, are we ready to go? So you know me, pencils are for losers, so let's go straight in with a marker pen. We're going to use the skin tone. So if you are keeping your character white, you might just want to pencil this bit in, but I like going straight in with pens. So we're going to use that skin tone first. We're going to put in a bit of a head shape. Now I don't want to go too big with this because the character's got massive hair. It doesn't really matter if the hair goes off the page or not. But yeah, let's go fairly small with this head shape. Okay. The other thing is the bit of hair on the character's the hair's going to be facing that way a little bit. So if you've got like a spiral binding like this, then you want to make your head a little bit further over this way so that we don't go off the page there. It doesn't matter if we go off the page at the back, I don't think, so much. Okay, so are you ready to do this then? Let's go and put in, just down here somewhere, let's go and put in an oval shape for a head. Now, coming out of that oval shape, let's go and put a neck in just about there. We're not going to do too much detail from the body of our character. We're just going to concentrate on the head and the hair and the face and the eyes today. But throw in a little neck. If you want to draw the rest of the body, you can do. Okay, once you've got that in, let's go and throw in a massive eyeball. So this character just only has one eye. So let's go and put in, with that same colour, a massive eyeball. I've left just a little bit more space down the bottom. You see it's like a donut shape. I've left a little bit more space down the bottom than I have at the top, hopefully, so that I can put a little tiny mouth in there later. But yeah, it's marginal. You can barely see it, but just be aware that that's what you're going for. Okay. So there you go, that's our light orange bit. Now I want us to grab that red, whatever colour you're using for the hair. And it's time for us to put in some really brave pen strokes on here. So these brave pen strokes are just going to whoosh all the way across the page. So we're going to start from that point there. You see where that dot is? That is going to be like the crown of the head. So all the lines are going to come back to that point. Okay, or very close to that point. So let's go and do the first one. First one, we're just going to take out a little tiny slice of the top of the eye and we're going to flick out until we're over here somewhere. Like that. And then we're going to take that line back with a bit of a wave, a bit of an S shape, and it's going to drop into that original point. So here we go. Let's try. Yeah, that'll do. Not as much of a wave in there as I really wanted, but that will do nicely. Again, starting at that point, this time we're going to go down the side of the head. So let's go like this from the side of the head. A little flick out there. And again from here, just bring it back to that point, but this time with a bit of a wave. Let's see if we can get a little bit more wavy in there. Not a huge amount more wavy, but that's okay. That's like the basic building blocks of our hair. What we're going to do now with that hair is we're going to add some extra little chunks everywhere. So I will zoom in at this stage because you can see how it all fits on my A4 sketchbook. at the moment. So let me just zoom in, because we're going to add some more chunks to this hair. So little things like this. We're just going to go round and add some. Let's have one coming down off the bottom here somewhere. Let's go. And back in. See how we're just adding that little chunk? Let's do the same over here. Let's go back in. Just trying to give that hair a little bit more shape. Let's do one big one coming out. No, let's carry on with the smaller ones actually. Let's go for one there. Just a small one. See what I mean? Right, up here, let's go and build out this crown a little bit. We want to put in like a real skinny D shape, a capital D. So one line is going to be fairly straight. The other line as we come back is a little bit wonkier. Yeah. So whack that in between the hair, and then let's just go and put in a few more little bits in there. That'll look fine. When we come to colour it in, all of that is going to disappear. All those weird lines are going to disappear. But that's good for the hair. Next thing we're going to do is just move down into the eye. There's just a little bit of detail I want us to put in the eye. So we're going to try and not fade it, but we're going to try and go from a real dark red into a yellow into the centre of the eye. But we want the eye to be looking down over here. So we're going to draw some circles. See, that's our first circle. We're going to draw some circles, getting smaller and smaller and smaller, but eventually ending up down here in the bottom corner. Hope that makes sense. So what we'll do, look, is we'll just put in a circle in about there. So you see how we've got that extra edge, about finger width at the top. Down the bottom we're hitting the line. Let's do another circle like that, just a little bit smaller. Again, look, finger width gap at the top and touching the line at the bottom. So we're going to carry on doing smaller and smaller circles in there, but we're going to do them with different colours a little bit later. Okay, so don't panic about doing those yet. They'll come back in later. Okay, that's it for red. Let's go and grab that yellow now. So for me, I was using yellow ochre. It's a slightly warmer yellow, a slightly more opaque yellow as well, which I really like. And I think it will suit this character. So a couple of bits of yellow we're going to put in. One is I want to put some little highlights and stuff in the hair. So I don't want the hair to be quite as flat as what it is. And it's worth remembering that this is just fan art, so you don't have to draw it exactly as the original character was. But let's go and put in some bits of hair. So like this, let's go and put in a W shape across there like that. We're trying to give our hair a little bit of a shine. It's also a little bit of a nod to who's done this. So it's a nod to some fan art of Nifty. I can't see that there's no name for who it is who's done it. I'll dig that out and put that in the comments for you. But yeah, what they did was put this little line going through the hair, which just looked really nice. So I thought we'd have a little go at that. So let's do the same over this side. Let a little W. And what you'll notice as well is that I'm trying as much as possible to have one side of the W fatter than the other side. I don't want it all to be just perfectly even. So you see how that bit's a big curve, that bit's a small curve. Stick with your yellow though, because there's a couple more bits that we need to do. One of the things this character has got is like underneath this fringe, all of that is going to be yellow. So starting at this point, we're just going to start bringing it down. So let's go, and yeah, we'll add those little flicks to it. So we'll add the main part of the hair first. Bring it down into the side of the head like that. And then you know the way we added all these extra little bits when we was using the red pen, we're going to do that with the yellow pen as well. So let's just go and add in some extra little flicks like that. Nothing too much in there. I think that will do nicely. Okay. Let's get on with last colour. A little bit of black. So these are like pencil lines that we're doing now. Yeah, these are not strictly speaking all the lines that we're going to colour in or that you'll see later on. We're just throwing in some pencil lines. The great thing about Posca pens is that you can spend a lot of time just making a bit of a mess, just chucking the lines in, getting it just right, and then when you lay the colour on top, the Posca will just cover over any mess that you've made. So yeah, just treat it as like the first half of any drawing is all about making a mess. Second half of any drawing is tidying it up. So we're still in that making a mess stage. Okay, let's go and do this next bit. This next bit's going to be fun as well. So what this character has on either side of their hair is some like twirls, some swirls of hair. So we're going to do that, but we're also going to just keep it, put in the big chunk of the hair first, add the swirls later. Okay, so let's go for this. Watch this. So we're going to go in there and let's bring these lines back. A little bit of a curvy V. See how it starts up at that point? We're just going to go round the head here. Let's bring that bit to there. And then what we're going to do now is we're just going to go across the neck. Make sure we go behind the neck and out the other side like that. I know that line on the other side is just a little bit too high, so let's just bring that down a little bit. That's all stuff we can fix later if we need to, so don't worry too much about that. Let's bring that line back in. And let's leave it like that. I know that looks a little bit messy at the moment. We're going to bring that all the way to the head. Looks a little bit messy at the moment, but that's because we're going to add those twirls in next. Now you don't want to go too swirly with it. Just add a small one in. We're going to start just here. Look. Let's do something like that. It doesn't have to be a smooth swirl as well. You can do it in a series of more straighter lines, which I think looks nice. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to come all the way back on ourselves. We'll end up about halfway down this line. So watch this, just like there. Ending up about halfway on that line. That looks okay. Let's see if we can do something similar on the other side. So let's start up in here. Little swirl going across there and then back to join it in. That is all our guidelines done. So the first two stages of your artwork are guidelines, stage 1. Stage 2, which we're about to go on now, is colouring in. So let's go start colouring in, shall we? Now my suggestion is we start with the eyes. So let's go back to that red pen that we had. We're going to get into those eyes. Let me zoom in about that much. There we go. And we're going to get into this eye section. Remember we put those two lines in the eye. So this is the outside part of the eyeball. It's all going to be red. We're slowly going to get lighter and lighter as the colours go into the middle. The reason we're doing the outside bit first, this red bit first, is because as we do the colours going in the middle, we're going to do a little bit of cutting in, which is where the orange is just going to go slightly over the red to give us some real sharp points down the bottom here. The yellow then is going to go slightly over the orange as well. And then we'll finish off with the black pupil right in the middle there. Okay, so red eye first. Then what we're going to do is the tips of the hair. So you see, we've got this big chunk of red hair at the top. We've got the tips of the hair just there and just there. And then we've got the main chunk of the hair. The reason we're doing the tips first is because we're going to use this yellow to do, again, another little bit of cutting out. So, or cutting in, depends what you want to call it. So let's go around this bit. Now you can see what we're going to do is we're going to go all the way over that section there as well. So that head is now disappearing. And let's go and throw some colour on. Now, one thing to remember is when you're using Posca pens to colour in, you don't have to press hard. If you're having to press hard, there's something wrong with your pen. You've either not primed it enough or not shaken it enough, or it's just running out. You should just be able to get away with just pressing really gently. The gentler you press, the more likely you are going to be to have a nice smooth finish. If you start pressing hard with your pen, that's when you're going to get the little grooves coming up in the paint, and yeah, you'll get an uneven finish. So down there, don't forget that little bit of hair that we had flicked out that we added afterwards as well. Yeah, it all looks a little bit messy around here, but don't panic. That is all going to be tidied up later. Let's go and do the other side. The other thing with colouring in is just do one section at a time. Try to do the whole section in one go as well, so you don't miss out any gaps. You don't want to be going backwards, because essentially as soon as you've started colouring in, these paints start to dry on your paper. And when they're drying, you don't want to be colouring in and shifting around any of that paint. You want to just let it dry. You can go back to it when it's dry, colour it in again. So if it's looking a bit patchy, you've always got that option, but don't be colouring it in while it's drying. Fab. What's next then? So next, let's go back into the eyes. So if you remember, I was using red, orange and yellow. They're going to be my eye colours. So I'm going to go with that orange now. Start putting a little bit of that in, and this is where I was telling you about cutting in. So let me get right close into this eyeball so we can see exactly what we're doing. Now some colours, before I do this, I will tell you some colours cut in and are a lot more opaque, much better than others. So colours like orange, yellows, they're not particularly the most opaque, not particularly the best for cutting in, but we'll give it a go anyway. But essentially, look, what we've got down here is quite a fat piece of line. We want to start getting rid of that. You see how we've got that orange going right to the edge there. Draw a smaller circle. Colour this bit in around here. So what we're trying to do is get it, I know that's quite difficult to show up on camera, it's not showing up on camera great, but what we're trying to do is down the bottom here, that orange is just going completely over the red. So both sides, that part of the red side and that part, they just kind of taper out into nothing, to really sharp points. That's what we're going to try and do. That's one of the benefits of using Posca pens, is the ability to be able to do that. Okay, let's go and do that kind of technique again. Let's practice it again up in the hair. So this time we're going to go in with our ochre, our yellow pens. See how it all looks a little bit dodgy around there, all looks a little bit messy. We're going to start colouring that in again. But what we're going to do is, as we colour it in, we're just going to chop it out. We've got that real clean, nice finish now. Colour that bit in. Again, remember to go quite soft, don't press on it too hard. The other thing is, if you press too hard, you're at risk of the paint spilling out onto your canvas as well, and we don't want that to happen. If it's looking a bit patchy, like a couple of bits here are looking a little bit patchy on mine. If it's looking a bit patchy, just leave it to dry, go back to it a little bit later and colour it in. But look how sharp that point is now on the middle of the hair, compared to over this side where it's still quite round. And for me, that's the difference between an amateur and a professional. And a professional will take the time to go in and do those bits. Or somebody who wants to look like a professional will take the time and go in and do those bits. If you like the rounded edges, then you keep the rounded edges. It's your artwork. You do whatever you want to do to it. So there we go. 2 pieces of hair now looking a lot neater as we chop them in. Now that hair colour, that yellow, we are going to use that in the eyes again as well. Oh, actually, we have got a little bit more hair to do. I don't know, I've completely forgotten about the other section of hair. Look, we will go into the eyes, but we've got all of this section of hair as well. Now this part of the hair, we're going to put a black line across there, so it doesn't matter if it's not a clean break between the yellow and the red. Over here, there's not going to be any black lines in there, so that's why it's really important to get that bit nice and clean. But over here, it doesn't matter too much. But that's the area. You can chop it out a little bit, cut in, make it look nice, but it's not particularly critical that we do that. Okay, let's go and colour in this yellow piece of hair. The other thing I like about this particular piece is that you don't need too many Posca pens to do this. In fact, you don't need too many Posca pens to do many Hazbin Hotel characters. They all seem to be kind of like reds, whites, blacks, maybe yellow. Quite a limited palette, which means you don't have to spend a fortune on pens. Right, there we go. We've got that other piece of hair done. Yeah, we might even... So this bit is just there. That bit is just looking a little bit small, that little flick of hair. I might make that a little bit bigger later. We'll see. We'll see. That's the beauty of Posca pens, is that if you think something looks a bit too small, wait for it to dry, go over it, make it bigger. Right, let's go into the eye. So this is the last colour that we're going to do in the eye. So let's go and do the rest of this. This time we're tapering out the orange. Like that. I'm going to colour the whole thing in, even though we are going to have a big black pupil over the top of that. Colour the whole thing in. I think we'll get away with that. Right, that's looking good. I think what we should do now is go and put in the skin tone on our character. Skin tone, and then we'll finish off with that red hair. So for me, the skin tone is this, what is it, light orange, like apricot kind of colour. I've used light orange this time, but apricot's a very similar colour, probably just a little bit stronger in tone. But if you're leaving your character white, then leave your character white. You see this bit around the eyeball, that bit there, we're going to leave that. Don't colour that bit in. Eventually that is going to be the black eyeliner, so we don't have to worry about that. But the rest of our face, let's go and put some colour on there. You know, you don't have to worry too much about getting right close to the other colours, because we are going to have black outlines, some thick black outlines all over this character. One of the things I like about putting black outlines in is that you can usually hide any little mistakes that you've made, or any little bits where you've gone over the lines. A black outline, when we do that last, it's just a nice way of hiding things underneath that black outline. That's good. Don't forget the neck down here. It's quite a long neck for this character, so you put a little scarf around it later. Again, that's the beauty of Posca pens, you can build up over the top. Okay, let's have a quick look, see how we're getting on. That's what it looks like. Looks nothing like a character-based piece of artwork yet, but I think as soon as we put the pupil in and some spots in the eyes, it will look great. Right, let's get back in. We've got a little bit more colouring in to do. Let's go and do the red in the hair. So I'll move up a little bit. And again, we're going to cut in. So these bits here, you see where we've got that fat 5M round point just there. We're going to use this red to cut them out. Look at that. Look how sharp that point looks now. Let's colour the rest in so you can see. See how sharp that point is. Fantastic. All the top part of the hair then, let's go and colour that in. This is going to take us a few minutes. So I'm not for, this is my drawing tutorials. I like to just carry on colouring in. I'm not going to time lapse this bit, because I figure if you're still colouring in anyway, it saves you the hassle of having to pause the video. There we go, we've got that chunk of hair in the middle done. Let's go back to that first part of hair. Yeah, the only bits I usually time lapse and speed up is if I'm giving the artwork a second coat, then I might speed that up, because that's always optional. You know, if you want to give it a real nice finish, put a second coat on it. If you're not that fussed about it and you're just enjoying the process of drawing, then just move on, just give it one coat. Move on to another piece of artwork. There we go. Let's go do the back of the hair now. Again, we've got another bit of cutting in to do. So the thing I like to do as well when I'm colouring in is I like to outline the area that I'm going to colour and then colour it in. So I'm concentrating while I'm outlining. That's when I'm concentrating, because that's when where I think, right, I know I need to make sure the line goes there, and I know I need to make sure the other line goes there. So I'm concentrating on that bit. But then once I've done the outlining, then I can just zone out. I can just start colouring in. Don't have to think about it anymore. And for me, that's why I call what I do doodling, because doodling is absent-minded drawing. So it's about being able to check out of having to concentrate and just getting a job done without thinking about it too much. Now try not to do what I just did there, which is priming your pen on your canvas or on your sketchbook. Every now and then it will just backfire on you and you will get a load of paint spill out of the pens, especially in the warm weather, or if you've just left your pens near somewhere that's hot. There we go. We're done. That hair is looking great. Now, I did say about just bringing this one over a little bit, so I'm going to just change the shape. You see how easy it was to just change the shape there, make something a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. Again, that's the main benefit of using Posca pens, is you can do stuff like that without it causing a problem. Okay, the last bit of colouring in to do is the black areas. Now I'm going to do the bit down the bottom first, and we have got a little bit around the eye to do as well. But I'm going to do this bit around the bottom first, just because this all might be a little bit wet. It does mean I'm at risk of rubbing my hand through this area, so I'll have to be really careful. There we go, so I've outlined it first. All looks a bit messy, lines all over the place, but let's go and put some black on there. Tidy that up. Now I'm using my 3M to colour in, which is a bit foolish. I should be reaching for a black 5M. In fact, will I do that? Yeah, I've got a black 5M handy. Yeah, like I was saying earlier, it's like grab all the 5M pens that you can in all the colours that you can, and then just grab some thinner pens in the colours that you like to outline in, especially if you like to draw the way I draw, like this kind of stuff. You want fat 5M pens for the bulk of your colouring in. It keeps you working faster and a bit more efficient. And then some thinner pens in whatever colours you want to outline with. I always outline with black, That's not true. 90% of the time, maybe 95% of the time, I outline in black. Every now and then I will do an outline in colour. There are some artists that do the colour outlining really, really well. For me, I'm just always drawn to outlining in black. But you know, see what you prefer. And then go with that. But yeah, 5 M's in the colours and then a 3M and a 1M in black is my go-to arrangement. Yeah, that's looking all right now. I think that's getting there quite nicely. A couple of things I'm going to change on that before we move on is let's have this bit of hair here just kind of coming up a little bit so it stops in there, goes across like that. I just want it to look like it's behind that piece of hair at the front. I think we've kind of got that happening over the back here. That looks okay. Right, last bit then. Last bit to for our outlining. Oh, for our colouring in. Sorry, this is stage 2. Just colouring in. Is that eyebrow? Well, that outer eyelash. I don't know what it is, but that bit all the way around there. So what we're going to do is we're going to just outline it with black. Going to leave a couple of little kind of splinters, little wedges in there. So in this white area here, I'll leave a couple of little splinters, but I'll show you what I mean. I'm kind of killing time, just waiting for this bit down the bottom to dry properly. Right, let's go and go all the way around this red bit first. Now, one of the things I promote quite a lot is wonky lines. If you can draw a smooth line, then that's great. Go and draw a smooth line. But if not, then wonky lines are the way forward. Just try and make all your lines wonky. If you want to try and draw smooth lines, my technique is holding my breath, would you believe? Holding my breath and trying to work that line quite fast. The slower you move, the more likely you are to have a little wobble in it. So try and do it quite fast. However, if you're struggling with it, don't make it a hassle. Enjoy your artwork and just concentrate on drawing wonky lines. If everything's wonky, it'll always look okay. Okay, now the main thing to remember now when we do this outside part of the line is these little wedges that we put in and the fact that the line is going to go over the top of this character's hair. Okay, so first thing first, let's go and put these little wedges in. So I'm going to put in just one there. And then over here, let's put in 2 little wedges like that. Now, it might help you to see how that's going to look before you decide where exactly you're going to put your wedges in. But essentially what we're going to do now is just going to go round, hit the top of those V shapes, all the way around. Look, let's go around the other side. Doesn't look too bad. We'll probably just get a 1M in there later, just tidy those little bits up. But that's okay, like that. In fact, we might just need to have a little bit of the light orange just tucked away in there. So I think we will do a lot of tidying up in that bit later. But for the time being, let's just get the black on. Oh, again, I'm using a 3M, aren't I? Come on. Use the 5M. Might be a little bit tight in some of these areas because they're quite small gaps to colour in. So, you know, use the appropriate size pen whenever you can. Yeah, lovely. Fab. Right, last little bit of colouring in, and then we're going to move on to outlining. It's just a little couple of spots for the mouth. So right at the corner of the mouth, let's put a little red spot there. A little red spot there. And we'll join those up with a black line later. That looks good though. Let me zoom out and show you what it should look like. That's kind of where you should be at. That's all your colouring in done. So that's stage 1, which was all the guidelines that we threw in right at the start. You could do that in pencil if you wanted to. Stage 2 is all about colouring in. We've whacked on loads of colour. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect. Just whack on loads of colour. Then stages 3 and 4 are all about tidying up. So we've made loads of mess. We've kind of just chucked loads of paint at this. Stage 3 is outlining, where we tidy up. Stage 4 is like finishing touches, where we just kind of tweak things all over the place. Okay, so let's go and do some outlining then. So grab that 3M, pen, and we're just going to outline everything on this. Now, as we outline, that is not the finish outline, okay? As we outline, we're still going to get some quite fat ends with a 3M pen, so we're going to taper in or cut in using the red, using the colours as well. So don't panic too much about any of these lines looking a little bit fat for the time being. Right, let's get in there. Oops. There we go. Let's move to the top, real close in. And we'll start outlining. So I'm going to start here and work across this way, okay? Now my technique, I think I referenced it earlier, is to double line everything I do. Not to make it twice as thick, but to make it twice as wonky. So feel free to do that double lining. As long as all your lines are wonky, it kind of works. So you see how I'm just going to go over all of these lines. Go over it once, go over it again. See how I brought that one in just a little bit too far. That's okay. All of those bits will taper out, we'll chop them off. The main thing to concentrate is the outside part of this black line. So this black line has an inside and an outside of the line. The outside part of the black line, that's the bit you want to get as smooth as possible, or as neat as possible. No chunky bits kind of flying out there. Okay, let's go over this side. Let's bring this bit back into the eye. In there, across. We'll zoom in across there. Double line it. Again, knowing that we will tidy up some of those lines if we need to. Okay, let's do that little bit coming into the crown. And again with the double lining. The other thing about double lining is, like I was saying earlier, it can hide anything that any mistakes that you make. So if your first outline you still see a little bit of red on the wrong side of the black outline, that's where double lining you can just go in and quickly fix that kind of stuff. Okay, let's move down. We're going to carry on with the hair, mainly the red part of the hair. Let's go and put this bit up into here. Again with that double lining. Down here. There we go. One last piece around the back here. Just give it the best line you can. First time round, then the second time round. See where I've got a little bit of red sticking out just there. I've even got, I think, a little bit round there as well. This is where double lining can just kind of help you by getting rid of all those, not mistakes, but just slight imperfections. Okay, let's keep on going around the hair. Let's move down a little bit more. Let's go back over onto this side. We're going to outline this piece of hair at the front as well. There we go, going over every single line twice. The last little bit, well, last little important part anyway, is just this little bit separating the head. So just bring that up to the top there. Awesome. Now, I did say we were going to just tidy up these little eyelashes, so we are going to do that just now. I've got a little bit of white showing under them. I don't want to see that white, so I'm going to put in some, colour it in with that light orange, the same colour as the skin tone. Let it dry and we'll come back to it later. In the meantime, go and grab your 1M, your really thin pen now. The reason we're grabbing that 1M is because we're going to put some eyeliner in. Let's go and put some eyeliner in, and then we'll come back and do the pupil. I really like the way these eyes look, so we're going to go massive with this eyeliner look. So let's go, where should we go? Let's go from about here. See how that line just kind of joins into the bottom of the eyeball, starting back up there again. Let's bring it back, but this time into a bit of a V shape like that. Okay, that is one part of the eyeliner. So these tight bits I'm going to colour in with the thin pen. Tight bits colour in with the thin pen, and then grab out your fatter pen, whether that be a 3M or a 5M. Go and add that side in. It's going to do the same kind of thing on the other side. Doesn't really matter where it goes, just kind of flick it out. Let's go from around there up to there, back in again. Colour in that tight bit up the top with your thin pen. Go and grab your fat pen. Colour in the rest of the eyeliner. I'm assuming it's eyeliner. I'm no expert. Let's say that it is. Okay, really like that. Let's carry on in that eye, because there's a couple more bits I want to colour in, and then we'll go and do some tapering bits. Let's go and put in a black pupil in here. So obviously it's fan art, so you can do whatever kind of pupil you want, but I'm going to put in a black pupil just there. Yeah, that looks alright. Lovely. Bit of a thicker line down the bottom there as well. Yeah, black pupil in there. Do it now so that we can get nice and dry, so we can put a little white dot or two in there afterwards. Okay, so we're still on this like, well, I think that's pretty much it for outlining. We're now on the last stage, a little bit more tidying up to do. And if you're anything like me, this is the bit you really enjoy doing, just the kind of whizzing around, just tidying bits up, making things look much neater than they do at the moment. So the kind of stuff we're going to do is like up here at the top. These bits of hair, we're going to grab that red pen and we're going to taper in. This is a technique you need to practice loads when you're working with Posca pens. Look. See how that's a much sharper point now? That is what we're aiming for. Taking it from being a fat 5M or 3M line, tapering it off until you get a nice neat edge to it. Now, like I say, some of these pens are, and even red is like that, where it doesn't taper, it doesn't cover quite as well as you want it to. So just give it the lightest of touches. Come back to it later if you need to give it another little touch up to get that sharp point in there. Let's do this bit over here, look at that. Really nice, a little bit in there. So you see now how the inside part of those lines, how much more professional they look, because we've got those real sharp points happening. Lovely, let's carry on doing that. Let's move down a little bit. We've got some more bits to do that on. Let's just tidy up this. Maybe grab that yellow ochre, see if we can do some of these bits over here with the yellow ochre. And like I was saying before, yellow is notoriously difficult to do this with. However, yellow ochre is much better. Just tapering out a little bit of the eyes, eyelashes. Nice. Now where it will get a little bit tight is in around the big part. You remember the big part of the eye where we put in those extra little light orange bits. Let's go and grab our 1M pen and tidy those up now. Just so we've got a little chop in like that. Something similar over the other side, look. How's that looking? Not too bad. Awesome. Let's go and put in a little line for the mouth, a little dot in the eye, and then we can have a little bit of fun with this character. How are we doing for time? We're 48 minutes in. This is a really good session. I thought this might take a little bit longer. I'm going to use a 3M. Give my character a little bit of a smile. That dot into that dot. Let's also, just down here, look with your small pen, just take a little nick out of the neck there, at the front side of the neck, just so it looks like it's, so like the chin is just going around there a bit more. Last important thing to do on this is just figure out where the light is coming from. Let's go and put in a couple of spots in the eye. I always like to put them like either inside the pupil or just kind of straddling the pupil and the iris. That's the kind of position I like. There we go, that's looking grand. Right, let's have a little bit of fun with it now. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go and do whatever you want. So whether you want to put in a body down here, put like the brown neckerchief and the top of the character here, or whether you want to put something else in, it's totally up to you. The kind of stuff I'm going to do though is I'm going to make it a little bit more my style. So I'm just going to go around and flick some lines here and there to make it look a little bit more detailed. So feel free to follow me on this bit, feel free to do your own thing, totally up to you now at this stage. So let's go in flicking some of these lines in like that. Nothing much in there. But I do like having a fat line and a thin line next to each other. Let's bring this back out a little bit more. That's better. Where else can we put these in? Let's go and put some in up here as well. So yeah, don't think about it too much. Just kind of throw a few in, see what happens. If it looks okay, leave it in there. If it doesn't look okay, just grab that red pen and get rid of any things that you've done that you think actually that doesn't look as good anymore. There we go, nothing too much in there, nice and simple. What should we do round here? Around the face, I always like to put little spots in on the face. Almost like little freckles. Lovely. What about if we just put some smaller flicks coming out there? Out there, just at the bottom of the eye. Look at the difference that's made. I really like that. Little bits coming out there, a few little bits that I've not coloured in properly. What else can we do? Let's put in some just little hairs. Just be careful where you put your hand. You don't want to be smudging anything, not at this late stage anyway. Right, let's throw in some background stuff as well. So like I said, you might want to put in the body down at the bottom. That's up to you. I always like putting in little spots at the very least. Clump them together in 2s and 3s to make them look a little bit more random. Let's put some yellow ones in there as well, shall we? And I think that's looking good. So I'm going to leave it just there. Not going to play around with this anymore. I'm quite happy with how we've finished that one off. So yeah, that was Nifty. Nifty from Hazbin Hotel. If you like what you've done, sign it. If not, just put somebody else's name on it. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that. Right, thank you very much for taking part. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.